What's up everybody? 10 episodes already? Wow. For those of you who've been keeping up with the series, you might be expecting a non-sequitur opening that has nothing to do with today's game. Well, guess what? So we're keeping it topical. Back in the early 90s, Electronic Arts was known for their library of sports video games, dominating the football market with their John Madden football games. You know, up until they stopped being worth your hard-earned centavos, of course.
Bullshit!
But I'm not here to talk about football again. That would be random since we're at a basketball court. I'm here to talk about a basketball game. But here's your kicker. It's not really a basketball game. Why is there a tree? For those of you who missed out on the early 90s, like myself, there was this legendary titan of a basketball player named Michael Jordan. Most of you might not need for me to explain why Jordan was such a big deal, but with his 6 MVP awards, 10 scoring titles, 10 All-NBA First Team designations, 9 All-Defensive First Team honors, and the list goes on. It isn't hard for a fan base to emerge as Jordan immortalized the Chicago Bulls and the number 23, which would forever be cemented in greatness. Not only that, but Michael Jordan had several commercial deals and eventually had a starring role in Space Jam alongside Bugs Bunny and Bill Murray. So I talked about Michael Jordan and I talked about why he was such a big deal. So what about the game that EA made? Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City, released in 1994 for the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, takes place where else but Chicago. The idea is that Michael Jordan is some big-time basketball superhero, gee, way to be humble, and that this weird-looking cousin of Dr. Embryo named Max Cranium, which sounds like they just ripped off Max Headroom's name, kidnapped his fellow NBA friends. Yep, just another day in Chicago. Jordan has to go to these weird underground dungeons to save as many players as possible. I'd also like to mention that playing this game may make you thirst for a Gatorade. And who can forget Wheaties? Breakfast of champions. It's always good to know where the money's coming from, right? One of the first things I noticed is that MJ always dribbles and never travels for one. But also controlling him feels like he's constantly running on ice because he has too much momentum. And in platforming games like this that require laser precision accuracy, it's bound to piss you off from time to time. It's like EA should have called this game Wayne Gretzky, Chaotic Controls in the City of Angels. Another thing that drives me up the wall is how when Jordan is hanging off a platform, he loses his balance and falls right off. Bullshit! A grand majority of the game takes place in dark labyrinth-like caverns that range from underground tunnels, laboratories, carnival funhouses, and haunted houses. When you go from one location to the next, you get to knock out news reporters on the L train, which is satisfying, and I'm guessing was Jordan's idea. As far as attacks go, Mikey uses trusty basketball and the deadly chest pass. EA came up with this pretty cool idea of making all the weapons basketballs, but simply changing what their capabilities were. There are heat-seeking basketballs, lead basketballs, which might just be bowling balls, ice basketballs, and fire basketballs. There are purple balls that ricochet into multiple balls, and even baseballs that have a boomerang effect. Nice of them to pay homage to Jordan's baseball days. You can even cycle through these weapons so you're not just forced into using them whenever you receive them. Outside of using the basketballs as weapons, you also need to show everyone why they call you Captain Marvel.
My game was built on flash and not fire.
There are baskets everywhere and you have to dunk in each one of them to get special items and power-ups. Some baskets act as checkpoints, while others give you items like keys to open doors and pathways, silver and gold coins to accumulate into lives, and 23s which are extra lives, and high-powered basketball arsenal. With the keys you get throughout the levels, you can open doors which may have random power-ups, random enemies, or they may have savable NBA players who can give you information that can help you beat the game. Not to mention that saving the players is the whole point of the game. There isn't really a large variety of enemies, and they're just weird. Spiders, basketball heads, referees on unicycles, what the hell? At the end of each area, there is a boss battle. You go one-on-one with the same dumb-looking robot, and the patterns are always easy unless you show up to the party with no health. Then you have to start over! And guess what? 3 lives and no continues. I'd rather play a 5-on-1 against the Chicago Bulls than have to endure this madness. So yeah, there are extra lives, but they are few and far between. I guess if you can't make a great game, might as well make it hard so we can suffer, right? The soundtrack is dull, short, and unimaginative. Through each section of the game, there is only one looping track. To give them a little credit though, the music at least sounds like something you might associate with 90s NBA music. To be honest, until about a month ago, I never even knew this game existed. I couldn't help but think of this as nothing more than a cash grab since Jordan was the most popular figure in the world at the time. But this game was unique enough and had enough variety in gameplay to make it a solid platformer. What holds it back is its slippery controls and its difficulty and its dull music. But I think there is enough here as a whole for you to go out and give this game a full playthrough.